You ever heard the term, the eyes are the window to the soul?
Yes.
I completely disagree. Respectfully disagree. I disagree because there's a lot of people that have been trained by the CIA and other operatives to lie with their eyes. In fact, I went through survival training, which is a 2-week course where they basically put you in a POW camp, simulated, of course. But everything is not simulated. The physical abuse, the torture, the interrogations they put you through are very real, and you feel it. Trust me, it's brutal. 2 weeks with basically no sleep, very little food, and you get harassed. And they train you how to behave in a hostage situation or a POW situation. So as naval aviators, if we get shot down, that's how we're going to operate, right? You can learn to train yourself to behave in such a way that you can throw people off. I actually did it in my interrogation. The guy was trying to get information from me, and I basically threw a left hook on him psychologically and made him believe something about me that wasn't true. So the eyes are not the window to the soul, but I'll tell you this, the words are. I can tell a lot about a person when they come to me and say, hey, I want to build a business, I want to scale my business, I want to go to that next level, blah, blah, blah. I can tell a lot about what they think, right? And what they believe based on what comes out of their mouth. Also, if you want to learn something about somebody, watch them when they're under pressure. Watch them when they're in a bad situation. And not just watch their body language and how they wake up, watch what words come out of their mouth. You believe that?
Yeah.
Great example. Getting ready to come fly out here, very early in the morning, probably 3:30 in the morning. I wake up, and I had left my two suits in my bedroom. My wife's sound asleep, and I didn't want to wake her up. And so I go, that was stupid. I just caught myself. Like, don't talk to yourself like that. Like, I love me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Would I talk to my son like that? My 10-year-old son, if he left something in the room and he'd go, I wouldn't go, you stupid. I would never say that to my son. So why on earth would I say it to the most important person in my universe, which is me?
Yeah.
How many times have we done this, friends? If you've done this before, I encourage you to stop this. Listen, man, the single most important act of love you can have in the world is to show up and deliver your best stuff on a daily basis. Now, is it possible to be 365, 24/7, turned on and locked and loaded? Hell no. You're going to have days where you feel like crap. You're going to have days where you're tired. You're going to have days where you're totally put down, depressed, upset, whatever the word might be that fits the situation. And in those moments, the words that come out of your mouth, the ones that are specifically directed about you, tell the story. This is the magic, and I'm going to get to it in just a second. I'll tell you the reason this is the magic, right, in about 2 seconds. What do your words then influence? Actions. I agree. Well done. Now, what do your actions generate? I agree. And your results back up your belief system, right? By the way, if you want something that's real slick, there you go. Okay? That thing. That's what I call the performance cycle. And it's been my experience working with high achievers and high performers that this is exactly what happens. This is the way it works in a pretty simple way. Now, there's a little bit more to it with the actions. Because if you take an action over and over and over again, what does that become? A habit. So really, your results are the byproduct of your habits. Now, you can get a result on a one-off action. Like you could post an ad, like a solo ad, and have it crush. But if it was the very first time you ever posted a solo ad and it smashed, does that make you a solo ad expert? No, it makes you lucky. And is that okay?
Yes.
Hell yes, it's okay. I'll take the luck all day. Most of my career is based on luck, and I'm okay with that. But here's the thing. You can hotwire this entire process. So if you're looking at your results and you're obsessed with your results, you're like, man, my results are awful. Then go back and say, well, what are my actions? And not just my actions, what are my habits? What are my habits? And how are those habits lining up with the result that I had really wanted in the first place? And then start going backwards and say, how do I think about this? And how, more importantly, do I talk about it? What words do you use to describe your business right now? If you had to capitalize or capture the word, your business in one word, what might that word be right now? Just shout them out. Productive. Stagnant? What else? Growing, expanding. Okay, cool. Now listen, some of those words are going to be more effective and some are going to be less effective, okay? That's not a judgment. You have to step back and analyze it and ask yourself, cool, are the words that I use to describe myself, more importantly, and the words I use to describe my business effective? Are they moving me in the direction that I want to go in? Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So there's a question that's in the back of everybody's mind right now. You're asking yourself, if I can do this, what's in it for you? What's in it? You're saying, what's in it for me? I'm going to listen to this guy for the next 35 minutes. He better get to it. This better be good, right? I want to go home. I want to go to the bar. Here's what's in it for you. And I'm basically going to show you the reasons you might want to listen to me over the next half hour. So I'm going to take you back to a time in history when the mullet was not only acceptable, but it was actually celebrated. Yeah, I know, right? Check out those Docker jeans or Docker shorts. That's me at an air show in probably 1984-ish. I was probably about 13 years old, 14 years old, somewhere around there. I just told you how old I am. You could do the math. Come back now. Stop doing the math. Doesn't really matter how old I am. I'm leaning up against an F-14 Tomcat. You guys ever seen the movie Top Gun? That's the jet they flew in Top Gun. This was my dream as a kid. I wanted to be a naval aviator. Specifically, I wanted to be in the United States Navy. Blue Angels. Anybody here with the Blue Angels? Yep, give it up. The most precise, professional, awesome pilots in the world. Only 7 of them on the planet. I wanted to be one of them. That's what I wanted my office view to look like. The challenge is that I was horrible in school. I was diagnosed with ADD very young. In fact, at a point, this is the actual literal word that one of the guidance counselors in school used. They said, quote, "We think he might be lightly retarded." Now, when you're like 10 years old and you hear that, what sort of an impact do you suppose that might make? What do you think happens? You start thinking those thoughts and all of a sudden maybe start believing stuff, yeah? I don't know what happened, but I didn't believe it. There was something inside my young brain that said that does not compute. No, thank you. You have to realize this. There's something very important about words. Words are super powerful, but you have all the power in the world. Does anybody here ever get offended? Knock that shit off right now. I'm serious. Never, ever, ever get offended, because the minute you allow yourself to get offended, you just surrendered your power to somebody else. Congratulations. Hey, he's mildly retarded. I'm like, screw you. I'm out. Watch this. Now, even at 10 years old, there was a piece of that. I didn't have the strategy in place, and I didn't quite yet have the mentor until that person showed up in my life. But the fact of the matter is, if you get words, people get offended by 4-letter words. Misha drops an F-bomb, and all of a sudden people go, oh my God. Except that it's probably the least painful word on the planet, and it might be the most beneficial word at that time for a person. That same person that gets offended about 4-letter profanity is the same person that is willing to say, I can't. I drop F-bombs all the time, by the way. All the time. One time a person said to me, you swear like that around your kids? I'm like, F yeah, I do. They're like, my God, your wife must hate you. I'm like, she's not a fan. But here's the thing. My kids, that's not really a big deal to them. But I will tell you this. The minute one of my children say, I can't do that, it is a full screech, dead stop. What did you just say? I pull the car off the side of the road, turn around and go, excuse me. I don't think I heard you correctly. Could you repeat what you just said? I would much rather have the overreaction to the word can't than to the word, you fill in the blank, that whatever word you choose, the 4-letter words that everybody seems to get so wound up about. Screw that shit. The word can't, 10 times more damaging than the F-bomb. Does that make sense? Yeah. Now, when somebody starts calling you retarded or using these other words and you don't know what that means, then you have to kind of ask yourself, oh crap, and at 10 years old I didn't quite figure it out. But I was like, hey, I want to be a Navy pilot. And people, teachers, coaches, friends, even very close family members said, you'll never do it. Not smart enough, you don't have the education, you don't have the mental aptitude to be able to get into college, let alone graduate, and go off and do something as dynamic as flying airplanes. At best, and this came from somebody very influential in my life, you need to just drop the dream and go become an aircraft mechanic, because that's as good as you'll ever be. And when that person said it to me, that hurt. That was the time when I was seriously crushed. No disrespect to aircraft mechanics, because quite frankly, no airplane's flying without them. But do you ever have a dream in your life when somebody tells you that dream is too good for you? Does that ever happen to anybody in this room? Hey, I'm going to go build this thing. I'm going to build a 6-figure business from home. They're like, you must be freaking crazy. What are you going to, you don't know the first thing about business. Anybody ever had that experience or something similar to it? You got a decision in that time to draw a line in the sand. That's your time to stand up for yourself. People talk about, oh, I believe in the law of attraction. Screw that. Don't believe in any mystical, magical BS. Believe in yourself. Instead of investing time in believing in the Seattle Seahawks, or believing in Donald Trump or not believing in him, or believing in the law of attraction, start investing in yourself to believe in yourself. Take the time to go, you know what? The only person building this thing is friggin' me. Does that make sense?